whoever else. And then it kind of waters its way down and it's, hey Bob, I need you to talk and here are your topics. And I said I'd love to talk about zone defense for one reason, and that's because I'm a man-to-man coach. It's all I've ever known. And so the topic ought to read, this is a zone defense for a man-to-man coach. Because I understand it as well as probably I could in a short period of time. And I think it matches some of the things that are going on. I think you have to analyze basketball. Charlie started doing this earlier, but take the trends of the 90s. Here's what I've kind of witnessed coming up the pipe and I think is going to happen. But with a 35-second shot clock for us, the short three-point line, we have more possessions, we have far more threes than probably the Rules Committee ever thought that they would take. When Missouri shot 33 threes out of their 80 shots against Arizona, I don't think anybody would have ever thought a team of Norms would shoot that many threes. But there were a number of those in the NCAA tournament where you saw a disproportionate number of three-point shots taken. All right, the first area, like trends that I see and I think is happening, multiple defenses. I think guys that have been so set in stone, Mr. I have a family tree type coaches like Charlie and others, Bobby Knight, Krzyzewski, those guys that were all man-to-man coaches are all now doing some part of a zone. Knight played a 2-3 zone on TV one day, and you see Duke will play some zone, but these guys 10 years ago were strictly man-to-man. There was nothing else going to be on their defensive plan. And I think the multiple defense comes more from a surprise and change attitude. And coaches want to be able to do something to throw another team off, change the momentum. Or as Kansas and North Carolina have been very successful at doing, throwing a trap at a team for one possession. Surprise, get a key turnover. And you never know when one possession is going to win that ball game. And so I think that's the up-and-coming thing is a multiple defense. And people are using defense to score with. And so scoring off defense and using it as a weapon has become more and more predominant. Team depth. 9 to 10 players on a team. I don't think that I can go back and want to have just 7 players. For one thing, at our level, I've got a lot of guys that don't have full scholarships. I've got a lot of guys that are practicing and paying a predominant part of their tuition and fees. I don't want to play them. And I'm kind of the old deal of, hey, if they've worked that hard, if I could get them in a game, I'd love to. And so you have to find a way. Teams now all have transition games. 94 feet of offense, 94 feet of defense. But the transition game, 10, 15 years ago, you didn't hear about it. You heard about break, fast break, maybe they called it primary break. Maybe some people had a secondary break. But now everybody has a transition game. All right, the fifth trend that I see is quickness over size. And at my level, a 6'5" guy is just as good as a 6'8" guy if he's quick. And he'll get after it and go rebound. The other area is offensive freedom and freelance. The skill level of a lot of players today, they don't need a lot of offense to get shots. They don't need 10 screens to get a shot. We have some guys on our team, if I throw them the ball, if we give them the ball, they can get a shot. And so there isn't a lot of structure for a lot of offenses these days. All right, now, when it comes down to zone defense, I'll give you my history. I never played in one. I played for a high school coach that was man-to-man. In college, we played man-to-man. Working 13 years for Norm, we played a little bit of a 1-2-2 zone that Norm would never call a zone. He called it a plunger defense. Now this was his thought, that if the players knew we were playing zone, they'd stand and wave their arms and jump around a little bit. He never wanted that, so he would call the 1-2-2 zone, which I don't know what anybody else could call it, but he called it the plunger. The point guard or the point would be your three-man, and he would drop all the way down. He'd plunge to the baseline. That was our zone. The problem that happened whenever we got into it, the worst shooter on the other team always scored. And so it would be a one-possession defense, and Norm would not go back to it for 2 months. And so that's part of it. Working for Charlie, the year at SMS, we put in the same defense. And we call it the 3-2 zone. And we were going to play it. The same thing happens. You get such an ego being a man-to-man coach that every error, every shot made against your zone is magnified. And so instead of just one basket in 4 or 5 possessions, it feels like they've scored every time. And I think that's one of the things that you run into when you're looking at going into a zone. All right, I wanted a defense and needed a defense this year to do a couple things, do some things for us. I wanted to learn how to change momentum and tempo of opponents. And I didn't think I could do it all the time with man-to-man. I think you can sag sometimes, I think you can overplay and you can trap, but I wanted to change tempo and momentum of opponents. I also wanted to get them out of their offense. You know, how many of us all do different things? Well, they're in a zone, run the zone offense. Well, in the zone offense, realistically kind of easier to watch and see what they're doing and to guard. So I wanted to do that. I also wanted to change our defensive pressure. That's the key thing, is I wanted to be able to change the spots on the floor that we were applying pressure. All right? I also wanted to be able to allow us to play our best players. And I'll get into when this started. But this is that quickness over size. I wanted to provide a boost in the game. And then the last thing that I've always thought at Missouri what we had trouble with was I wanted to give us a zone to practice against. If you don't play much zone, you don't know much about it. Consequently, when you play a zone team, you're going to have trouble. And so I wanted to give us a zone to practice against. All right, in mid-November, Charlie came over to Warrensburg to watch us play an exhibition game. After the game's over, we go out and we're talking, and he says, "Guy, I like your team, you got great guards." I said, "That's just the point. My 4 best players are guards. My 5th best player is 6'5". All right, so in the scheme of that, where does my postman, who's not in my top 5, and where does my power forward, who is not in my top 5, where do they fall in the scheme of things? He says, "You need a zone." Well, I laughed. I said, "Zone, tell me about it. Mr. Zone Man, you tell me what to run. You got a zone?" He said, "I got a zone." So on napkins, as you've all done, I got this zone. And he started talking about it, and then we did a little more research on it than what he went through. And what I'll try to do is give you the drill sequences and a few of the things that we put in at Central Missouri, and I also know what he put in at St. Louis U. But here are the advantages to this. It gives you good man pressure on the ball all the time. Some zones play gaps, or they'll gap you, they'll leave the ball go. This zone is predicated on ball pressure. And so if you're a man-to-man coach, you're already there. You've been teaching it and you've been talking about it. And it also has a built-in help side defense, which your players, if you're a man-to-man coach, know how to play. And like I talked about earlier, it looks zone, it plays like man-to-man, but it looks zone, and it forces your opponents to go into their zone offense, which in my mind are normally easier and simpler to defend. And then I think this also defends the 3 line better than conventional zones, which I think is crucial. Until they move that line back, which hopefully they may do. Here are the simple rules of this 1-1-3. I've never heard Spoon call it the amoeba before, but that's probably what it is. 1, we stop the ball. And Spoon had the defensive man here. And we will start our point guard in that same spot, and he has to get to the basketball and declare a side. So that's the first thing. Stop the ball. 2, tremendous pressure on the ball. The thing you're going to find out is that guys that don't guard the ball very well in your man-to-man, they have that fear, he's my man, I don't want to get beat by my man. That responsibility wears them out. When you go into this zone, they will become great at pressuring the ball, because there are some things that you're going to do with dribble penetration that relieves them of that stress of having all that responsibility. but you can put pressure on the ball. All right, deny lead and penetrating passes. That's the other key. Now, the offensive man over here, we wanted him to declare a side. And I'll show you the alignment, but we would have a guy come out here and play him just like in our man-to-man guard-to-forward overplay. That's a lead pass. We front the post. We try to play between the man and the ball on the high post. And so the low post and the high post are the key areas for us as far as denying those passes. The fourth rule that we have that helps our man-to-man also is that we say we have to run to coverage areas. Well, in man-to-man vocabulary, we talk about sliding all the time. Slide over here. You have to run in this zone because there's a lot of area to cover, and so we talk about running to coverage areas. We trap all dribble penetrations. All dribble penetrations will be trapped. And then we will add traps at designated spots. And the last most important rule, because of size, you have to have all 5 men thinking rebound. All 5 men. Now, here's the alignment. We start out that way, and we would bring our point guard as far up as he wants to get where he can contain the man. And we have one guard that's pretty good that when we get into the zone, he'll start right here. And he gets right after the ball. Now, the big confusion for the ball handler is he's not used to seeing this in a zone defense. And the rule that Charlie covered with the 2-man back here is he's got to stay, as this man is dribbling the ball, he's got to stay between the ball and the basket. What his main job is, nobody gets the ball in the high post. He's got to keep if the man gets broken down by the dribble, he's the trapper. As soon as the ball's declared to a side, which is what this point guard has to do, 3 then can step out and he can start contesting that pass and denying the lead pass. When the ball gets declared, 5 is going to step to the ball side. He can't allow a pass, direct pass to the low post. 4 then becomes the hoop man, and he has to drop. The reason you have to have pressure in this zone is obviously you can see if this man was dribbling here and threw a pass over here, that's going to be a concern and it's going to be an open shot. If you have ball pressure, and it's got to be so tremendous and severe that this man's not thinking of throwing a cross-court pass. He is trying to save the dribble. He is trying to find a man on the ball side that he can get the ball to. Where we had our problems was when we had the wrong man on top, he'd be too far off his man, and the ball handler could throw to either side, which is very much like man-to-man. All right, that's the first area of this zone that has to be covered. 1 is ball pressure. 2, the down guard has to be between the ball and the basket, and then the 3 players on the backside have to know their shifts. All right, Charlie showed you briefly when this man threw the ball to the wing, 3's out on him. We have 2 in the high post, and he's the down guard. We had 1 drop to right here. We call it the half guard position, but we had him dropped right there. Charlie showed you that he dropped his man to the middle and let 2 slide over. We wanted 2 to stay with the high post. He had to find if there was a flasher, if there was somebody coming in, 2 had to stay in there. We didn't want any time of any daylight in there, so to speak, to where if the wingman caught it, there wasn't a lot of pressure and they could hit the high post. So we let 2 stay there and 1 drop to this area. They have a postman. 5 is here. He goes right on top. 4 is your weak side help. Now, when the ball gets to the wing, in our man-to-man, we turned everything to the baseline. When we went to the zone, we still wanted things to go to the baseline. We didn't want them to be able to reverse the ball very easily. We wanted them to think about dribbling the ball. We wanted them to think about putting the ball to the corner man if they had a corner, but because that was the easiest shifts for us to make. Anytime, one of the rules you have against any defense is let's play both sides of the floor. So we tried to take away the reverse pass simply by overplaying and pushing this guy to the sideline. You have one here, you have two guarding the high post, 5 is fronting. If they had a man in the corner, 5 has to come out under control, hands up. 3 makes the run. This is where running to coverage areas is so important. When this man makes the pass, 3 makes 2 hard steps to see what's going on, because I'll show you one little different. And then he runs to the hole. 4, who was in the hoop area helping on the back side, he comes baseline side to the front position. Everybody see that?
Is 2 fronting the high post?
2's in front of the high post. The ball doesn't get in there. All right, as soon as this ball is passed, what I liked about this zone is that there's always an illusion of open men. All right, the corner man catches, he immediately thinks about reversing the ball to the wing. That is one's only play that he has to think about. Let me get it over here. 1's here, ball gets passed to the corner. As soon as this man lets it go and 3 has stepped through, 1 comes to that position and he's in denial. He's in denial and he's thinking of 2 things. I'm going to steal that pass or knock it down, or I'm in a position, if 5 stumbles out and he's not in a very good ball position or a stance, and this guy puts it on the floor, I'm going to trap that dribble. That's the only thing he has to think about. And you'll be surprised at your guards standing there, they have a better stance right in this position than you've had all year in man-to-man, because they know they're stealing a pass. Or at least they're not going to let that ball come out of the corner to that wing. And the other thing they do is they're very receptive to helping on that dribble penetration. Okay, 2 is in this position. I have 4 fronting and 3's on the back side. Now, one thing about 3 running here. The big thing that you have to worry about is many teams will put a good shooter in the corner. If you have a big, slow inside player, he doesn't quite get out there fast enough. There's a lot of daylight between this man and this guy over here for offensive rebound, if it's shot. So in your drills, you have to teach this player to sprint, watch for the flight of the ball, and then he's got to chug this guy and get in his way. If he sees that ball being shot, he has to get in that man's way. And if you get a guy that will not run hard on that little coverage, you're going to be in trouble. Because that's the weakness of this zone, and that's just it's rebounding if you don't move quickly. Now, if you get a guy that runs pretty good and he'll move hard, you're going to see a lot of deflections and a lot of tips, because you'll have guys trying to throw the pass here, try to throw it through here, and if he is going and he's active with his hands, he's going to get his hand on some balls. And we found we got more tips, not a lot of just flat out steals, but we got a lot of tips out of this zone. All right, now let me get it back. Say the ball comes out of the corner. Your guard didn't react quick enough. They've got a man here, and they want to reverse it. We have 2 here at the high post. 1 was on the ball. They've reversed the ball. 2 now must come up, and he has to play the ball. 1 has to slide in and he becomes the down guard. And this is just like man-to-man when you're teaching reacting from being on help side to being on ball side, where you want forward overplay. That you react when the ball leaves the player's hands. And when you see daylight, you have to be going. Well, the same thing here. If 1 is guarding this man and he sees that ball passed, he has to sprint. This man cannot come out until he sees the ball being passed, and then he has to come out and it's pressure. All right, now 5, who is out here, he comes to this spot, which we call the modified position. Because in case this man, if this guy threw it back to your wing, 2's out here, 1 here, 5 is here. If it comes back, 5 now is pressuring the ball. You have 4 here and you have 3 in the hole. All right, 2's job is to try to make it as hard as possible. If that ball is reversed and they want to bring it here, make it as hard as possible for him to reverse it, They got to use a couple dribbles, and then once he gets over the center line, he keeps it on that side. That allows 3 to come out. If they have a wingman, now he's playing denial. 4 comes to the post, 5 sprints to the hole. And again, run to coverage areas. If you're the 3-man and you're under the basket, you're helping, and you see the ball being thrown to the point, you know that your job now is to deny the pass to this side. You've got to sprint, and you've got to be on your horse to get there and be able to have the good denial coverage that you want. All right. Yeah.
What you do if they're double low and you fix that pass to the weak wing, just takes those guys down the blocks.
It's a great play for an offense. It's great for an offense, but remember what we talk about. You can't leave until you see daylight when that ball makes that pass. And it's hard to do. And it's just as hard when you're on offense to teach a guy to make a good pass fake. But the things that a good zone team can do, hey, they're going to have an effect on you. But your players have to be smart enough. They've got to see there's no reason to be in a hurry to move until that ball's passed. And then they're on their way. All right, now, the other thing that I wanted to cover on that is the 2-guard front. Most teams, when they see this zone, they'll say, well, we're going to cover it with, we'll go at it with 2 guards. We have our defense out here. Man comes here with the ball, he dribbles it over. This guy's got it. If they've got 2 guards and they're bringing it up the court that way, 2 will step out, and just like in man-to-man, he's off his man and toward the ball. He's in help position. If they play a high post, if they attack a 2-1-2, for instance, 5 comes up and he plays ball side on the post. 3 and 4 are in the mid area. Now, if the ball gets declared, 3 is stepping out here and he's overplaying. He's playing the denial play just like you would. And the ball gets declared, 4 is coming to the hole. What we found in this zone that was happening to teams is that they were going 2-guard front, but because of the good pressure that the guards were putting on and our postmen recognizing what they were doing, they kept coming further out towards the half line, which now they're not in scoring area. And you're doing what you wanted to do. Remember, go back and think of why I'm playing this zone. I've just been kicked by a man-to-man or a motion offense that I can't guard. It's a night we're not doing very well on screens. Or it's a night that they've got 2 or 3 guys shooting a lot of threes in on us. And so all I want to do is change a little momentum. And to give you an example, when Charlie and I talked in early November, my thought was when we play Missouri on the 26th or 27th of November when it was, I'm going to play this. Because one, Norm's not going to believe I'm ever doing this. And it'll surprise him a little. Well, we never got into it because Missouri wasn't playing very good. We were playing well. And so we didn't use it until really the 1st of January. We tried it against some smaller teams and it looked like it worked. But in my mind, I'm thinking, well, God, hey, we can guard them man-to-man. So I don't need this. And so we didn't get to this until the middle of January. And to give you an idea what happened, we had a home game against Emporia State. And Ron Slaymaker's the coach there, been there a number of years, a great coach. They have us down 12 at half. We're having a hard time guarding them. They presented mismatch problems. And with 15 to go, we went to the zone. Played it 10 minutes. Turned the game around for us. After the game, Slay says to me, he goes, just tell me one thing. Didn't it kill you to have to play the zone? And see, that's the mentality I think a lot of guys fight. And I'm looking at that scoreboard. I don't want to laugh, saying, well, no, if I can win, nothing's going to kill me. But when I got back in that locker room, it hit me, yeah, that's one of the things that I fight. And so I have to justify the little things. Hey, a guy might get a good shot. A guy might have a great zone offense that's going to work against this. But what I know is I can change the tempo and I can change a little bit of momentum. Another deal, I don't know if Dan Armstrong's still here, but he watched us play Missouri Southern at the end of the year. And we played this 3 possessions. They get 2 threes and a dunk on us. So, I mean, there's some nights it's not all going to be there. But anyway, back on this on the 2-guard front, because little things have changed. Charlie says, if they throw it in here, the 5-man's right there on the high post. 4 and 3, they have to come to the block area. 1 and 2 they retreat to the elbow. So when the ball goes to the high post, that man catches it. He is going to turn to either side. I've got a guard that's going to trap it. It's coming out of there. Now, if he's quick enough to make a real good play, that's fine. But that ball's not staying in the high post very long. And so we work on that also. Once they make a play out of the two-guard offense, if this man throws to here, fours come out, it is just like the one-guard front defense. They've got a high post, one is here, two's on the ball, he drops to the half position, one sprints and he's playing the high post. Five, who was playing here, he drops to the high post, or to the post area, and three, who was out here, he drops to the hole. And now we're in our regular zone defense. And so the alignment doesn't affect us only except when they bring the ball up the court. And so we will run to those spots.
Coach, how far do you bring your five-man up? You let him go past the free throw line?
No. And that would depend. We don't have many centers in our league that's going to shoot the three or do that. But I think you could. But what they have to understand is that 3 and 4 have to understand they're the two guys that have the basket then. And the other thing you have is when the ball gets declared to this side, one is pretty good right here going, if he's played man-to-man defense all year and you've talked about jumping to the ball when it's passed, he's naturally going to be right here. He's naturally going to be there. All right, now I want to show you the traps and the things that we cover. The one area that we have that the ball, I told you the high post and the low post, ball can't go there. The other area that I think is really detrimental to any zone defense is the short corner, right here. And so that is an automatic trap area for us. And here's how we work it. I mentioned the three-man guarding the ball. We've got one and we've got two here. We've got 5 guarding the post and we've got 4 on the back side. If the ball gets thrown to the short corner, and you know, this is where your players are going to have to say, well, I didn't think it was short corner. I thought it was more out in the corner or whatever. 3's natural reaction is he's going to the basket on any pass that's going to the baseline, because that's what you've worked on. What we want him to do is 2 hard steps, and if he sees it's in the short corner, he comes. This man comes. 4 slides over to trap, and 2's on the base on the back side. But we want the ball out of there, and so we work on that. And so the short corner is automatic.
4 goes where?
5's trap.
5 is trap. He's the closest guy, and he's going to trap.
4 doesn't trap.
No, 4 comes, I'm sorry, 4 is coming underneath, he's guarding the post, because he's the closest guy. All right, now, if you wanted to trap the corner, ball gets passed here, the rule that you use on trapping is this. If the postman ever leaves to trap a passed ball, a ball from a pass, the 4-man will take the post. The 4-man will cover, or whatever the weak side man is. Give you an example. 5's here. We just saw 4 come to play the post. 5 would naturally always go to the corner anyway to play him. If you want to trap, 3 could take his 1 or 2 steps away and come and trap. Okay? 4 has to slide and he plays that post. 2 has to drop, and the only difference you make when you go to your trapping game is that 1 has to play center field. He plays here to here. And we had an easy call to do this. All we did was when we wanted to trap is we held up a fist. And that was the thing that changed. And this was the easiest trap for our guys to figure out. And then if you do a good job of it one time, and again, you're not in this for very long, the other team doesn't throw the ball to the corner. All right, now dribble penetration. We talked about every dribble drive that when our man gets beaten, we're always going to trap the dribble penetration. First one that we cover is we're out here, he dribbles, 2's the trap man. They come and trap. 3, who's out here on forward overplay, has to turn. 5's fronting and 4's in the hole. And he has to be able to read. If he doesn't have anybody in front or behind him at the basket, he knows that this is the area that the ball might get kicked to. But again, one of the things we wanted to do was play a man on the side and entice him into that trap. If you've got enough ball pressure, you've got an ability to put it on them and that they won't have very good vision to make the open pass. All right? Now, out of the wing, if he's dribbled here, your half guard is standing right here. One, he traps. Well, the thing we liked that worked with our man-to-man defense was when we had 5 guard and a post. We wanted to play on the side and we wanted to put the ball on the floor. This was an automatic trap for us. And now the difference in the rule was if the 5-man or the post defensive player leaves to trap a dribble, the guard slides in to cover the post. And in our man-to-man, we do that anyway. We tell our point guards, anytime we have the ball dribbled down the side and we've got pressure on the ball, you slide and get in front of any post man that you can find. And that keeps 4 at the basket.
That's next one dropping about the next 2.
That's 1. Two's in the high post. And 1 is your half guard and he's the guy that's going. And what I'm going to do a better job of next year is personnel on the other teams. I don't think at any level, I think you can watch Arkansas and Duke, they do not have 5 guys that can put it on the floor and make plays. They have 5 that can dribble it and maybe stop and control themselves and not travel, but they don't have 5 that can finish. They don't have 5 that can make plays. Now, at our level, there aren't 2 maybe on the court that can all make plays off the dribble. For somebody else, or finish at the basket. At your level, hey, if you have 1, he's going to get college scholarship. And so I think you have to evaluate the personnel, and I'm going to do a better job of that and use this to my advantage. All right, another trap that we need to show is that if ball's in the corner, 5 came out, he was too slow, the man dribbled by him on the baseline. 4 is at the basket, or he's front in the post, 3 is at the basket. Remember the rule, if it comes off of a dribble, here comes 4 to trap. We've got 2 here, 1 is out here, 2 is the guy that's going to slide and cover the post. Okay, then the other dribble that you have, and we talked about it when you're talking about your guard's responsibilities, is when this man tries to dribble penetrate, here's your trap. 4 stays on the post, 2's at the high post. So I think there's a lot of things you can get done with this defense, and if you use it in, just for what you want to do out of it. Neil McCarthy at New Mexico State, Boyd Grant when he was at Fresno State, this is all they work on. And they spend from day 1 working on footwork, closing out. I don't do all that. My main defense is man-to-man. This, again, is something that's for changing momentum, try to screw it up a little bit and get the game just changed to where we might have a chance to do something. All right, let me give you the drills that you're going to need to put this in. And it doesn't take very long. First drill is called 2-on-4. And it's your 2 guards on one end of the court, and you got 4 offensive players. And you cover basic shifts, putting ball pressure, how to handle the dribble trap. You can do all this, and we did it all out of 2-on-4. But the idea that we put ball pressure, make him declare a side, and then he has to drop. 2 has to learn how to play the post. If you want to start your post man low and let him flash to where 2 has to find him and deny the high post, that's great too. But we would do this, and then we would work on not only that, we reverse the ball, so 2 has to come. 1 has to get on top and play the high post. He brings the ball over here, makes this pass. 2's guarding him. He comes to the half position. 1's guarding the high post. Okay, now, the other thing that you've got to be able to handle out of this is the rebounding end of it, and you work it out of this drill also. He makes this pass. 1 runs to here, 2's your down guard, and he's guarding the high post. What we did on the rebounding is this man would have a forward on him in a game, 3 or 4. But we would have this guy shoot. 2 who is guarding this man has to run to this spot for rebound position. 1 has to find and get in the way of the high post. And for one, it may be only a matter of one or a step or a step and a half to get in front of the high post. But two is the guy that really has to be conscious of weak side rebound. Because you remember, you've got your other guy, your weak side man is in the hole. And his guy is going to be right here. This man has to get on, has to run to rebound in coverage area, and he's got to make sure he's conscious of that. Okay, that's for the guards. Now the drill we do for our big guys, and we do 3-on-7. We'll start the ball. Once we declare a side, these guys jump to spots. Okay, your offense is stationary. What you're trying to get done is coverage, area coverage, trying to get them to recognize how to move to position. So this is 3-on-7. The ball gets thrown here. He's working on front in the post. 4 is down in his defensive stance. He's on help side. 3 is pressuring the ball. Now we throw the ball to the corner. This is where 3 learns how to take the 2 hard steps and sprint to the hole. 5 learns how to come out here and guard the man on the corner. And 4 learns how to come baseline side to front the post.
To make a pass on the whistle, how do you control that?
Exactly right. We'll whistle. We make the whistle, and that way we get everybody in spots. Now the key too is after they know their position and know how to get to those spots, is then have them react to the ball. Get the whistle out of it, but that they have to know how to do it, and then you want to get them to play as hard as you can. And in this drill, obviously with 7 on offense, they're not going to guard all of them, but you want them to cover those certain areas. Okay, now the ball gets into the corner, so we're going to bring it back out. He throws the ball here. That's a guard position. You don't have anybody on it. You've got 5 here, 4, 3 has rotated down to the hoop position on the corner pass. Now, this is the key time for the forwards. They have to learn to be able to come to this position so that when it's reversed, they are now in a position to play this man. And I think Ron Adams or somebody at Fresno State, Ron's now coaching in the NBA, but they call that the modified position. Well, folks, I don't have anybody that would understand modified. So I yell, run to here. And then and stay down and be alert. I think the other thing that happens in this zone is you're not so much concerned about or worried about where the ball comes from. It's where the ball could go next. I mean, I'm leaving that man in the corner, coming to that half position. Obviously, if he threw it right back, I can get back to him. And you think about the guards. If he's pressured the ball and they throw the ball guard to forward, he's dropping to that half position. You know, obviously they could reverse it back, but that's not the pass you're worried about. You're worried about that high post pass, the low post, short corner, different things.
Ball goes back to the corner because the 4 game clock goes to 3 and 3 is
All right, if the ball's right here and 5 has come to this spot, see, we got a guard on him. Okay, if we had our guard would be here, our other guard would be guarding the high post. This man would take him. Okay, and when you have your 5 men there, all right. So he comes to here. Now, when that ball gets thrown reversed, 1 has to come to the high post, 2's coming out, right? All right, now 5 would be moving up here. If they threw the ball back, 5's got him. If they throw to the corner, yeah, 4 comes out, 3 comes underneath, and 5 comes through. Okay? The hardest part is when you've got this breakdown going, your forwards and centers have to understand that pass is going to be handled by a guard. That corner to wing pass is a guard's play. But what he has to get used to is instead of when the ball gets passed to here, instead of coming back here, he's not going to be in any position then to deny that pass, which is what he wants to do. I'll guarantee you, that postman is thinking about going back here when that pass is made. But he has got to come to here because now when it's reversed, he's in position to come up and play that play. Did that cover it for you? Okay, now, we've reversed the ball. Now let me see if I got everybody in spots. 5 came here, 4 was on the high post, 3 is here. Now this is a nice little drill because 3 has run through here to the hoop. He's played weak side rebound, and now they've got it reversed and he's got a dribble across. Now he runs to here. 4 slides across and 5 comes to the hoop area. But that gives them all their shifts. And then again, you give him the ball here, make the pass to the corner. That brings 4 out. 3 is running to the hole, and 5's coming on the baseline side to guard the post. Everybody follow that? And again, it's not very hard. When Charlie drew it up on napkins for me, I mean, I looked at it and I said, there's no way I can cover this. There is no way I can teach it. But what I found out, what I can't teach, is to not teach, or to be a man-to-man coach and then to teach them to gap on a conventional 2-3 zone. And to worry about who's playing what position and if you're in the passing lanes and things like that on a conventional zone. What I can teach pretty good and what I feel comfortable with is having somebody on the darn ball all the time. And we've got a few guys that are, as politically correct thing would be to say, they are intellectually challenged. And they get mixed up a little bit. But the thing we've tried to tell them is, if you will go hard and play hard, effort will always kind of hide a few mistakes. Now, if they're thinking all the time and they're pitter-pattering their little feet and they're not out, then we're in trouble. And that's when I've either got to sub or get out of the defense. Let me see if I've got anything else that needs to be shown. That is really how we play it. Now, the last drill we do is to put them together and we go 5 on 8, which I have a hard time with 13 players, so we use a manager sometimes. But we got every spot with an offensive player that we're going to have to cover. And then we get our guys in there on defense. Here's 1, 2. All right, and then we just play. And we started out, as she said, with the whistle. And we make them make the pass. We get to the spots. We work on stance. Then we work on running to coverage areas. The offense can't move. And so we work on putting the ball around the horn. We try to throw to the high post. We try to do a few different things to challenge them. Any questions?
How difficult would this be run with the full court press?
Well, we screwed around with it at Christmas. We went 1-1-3, and Charlie mentioned a little of it. That they were apologizing about the football play. Anybody here grab an indelible marker in your locker room before and go up and start writing on the board? And your little manager, you know, who's the smartest guy on your staff, knows where everything is. He's going, no, what's wrong? That ink won't come off. Well, I mean, we have that all the time because I'm grabbing the first pen I have. All right, we tried this, and we put 1, 2, and this is how we tried to press it. And we're going to work on it. Now here's what we looked at. That when the ball got to this area, you got a guy on the ball. This guy has the same idea in that he's playing the middle. This guy is trying to find somebody in his area that he's going to deny the pass. Now, the guy that has to be really smart are these two. This guy's position is here, and that guy's position's there. And so it ends up almost becoming a little bit of a 1-2-2. But the shifts, what I liked best about it were the shifts, that if they ever threw the ball up the side and we had a man on the ball, and then maybe they got this pass. So we had 5 coming out on him and 4 coming to the basket. This man here deflected an unbelievable number of cross-court passes. Because again, it's that illusion of, he's open. Well, here comes this guy. As soon as that ball's passed, he is sprinting to get to the backside. And I think it's going to have a lot of merit, and it's going to be something that we're going to look at. And the thing that we're going to have to do is decide how active we want these two, because they're our best players on our team, and they can create enough chaos that it could be a lot of fun for us. If you watch Cincinnati, they do this. Now the thing he's got going for him he's got major league guys. You know, they're 6'8", 3 or 4 guys 6'8", 6'6", and then a guard who's 6'3". Well, you get arms out and hands up, that covers a lot of territory, and he could probably be playing a standing 1-3-1 and be pretty good too. But again, you have to analyze, and I can't go over this enough. I think you got to be comfortable with what you're doing, and I think if you'll look and see what's happening in basketball, it doesn't hurt to add something that you want to put in to change the game, and maybe change it just for 3 or 4 possessions. And you can't be afraid that, you know, if you're a guy like me that's strictly man-to-man and you think that's the only way to go, that's fine. This still may be something that you could look at. Any other questions? Hey, I'd like to add one thing. We're in Warrensburg, Missouri. I know we've got a lot of out-of-state high school coaches that maybe don't know where Warrensburg is. It's right outside of Kansas City. We've got a nice school, a good college, and you know, if you have any questions at any time, you're in the area and you want to drop in, our practices are always open. We've got great facilities, and I've left some camp brochures out front. We have summer camps also, and we'd love to work with you. And again, if you have players, hey, that's fun too. But appreciate your attention, and I know the Alton Bell is ready to go, and I know a lot of you are probably wanting to hit on that. Hey, thank you very much.